We're live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the 10K Project. I am Tawana Rivers, and we are so happy to be back, highlighting and just loving on another Black founder for the evening. I want to introduce to you Monica Freeman Green with Uncle Waithley's. It is the best, and I do not say one of the best, so I understand my words, the best ginger beer ever made, okay, and sold. And I stand on that. And as you can see, look at that. Look at that frost on that mug. Just sipping away. So I'm going to enjoy me some Uncle Waithley's while we talk about tonight. Uncle Waithley was here actually 2 years ago, April of 23. Carl Franz, the CEO, came and talked to us about this amazing venture, and to see them now 3 years later, 2 years later, right? We're in 24, 25, 2 years later, they have additional flavors, expansion galore, and I cannot wait to have Monica talk about it a little bit. But first, I'm going to do what we always do. We are going to go to the campaign page. We're going to show you how to navigate that page. For those of you watching us live on Facebook, we're going to be putting the link to the campaign in the comments. You can take a look at that. You can save it, share that link with your family and friends, because we want as many people as possible to see the campaign. For those of you here in Zoom, we'll be putting that link in the chat. But Talisha, if you don't mind sharing that campaign page so that we can just take a look at the campaign. Monica will go over the presentation from the pitch deck that's also in the campaign page. But I just want to highlight a few things for you. We're going to watch a couple of videos that are on the page just so that you can fall in love with Uncle Waithley's the way that I have. Talisha and I had the privilege of going to a conference a couple of years ago, and Uncle Waithley's donated several cases, like 25 cases of ginger beer. And we took to the TPC Con conference, and we made Moscow mules for them. When I tell you, we had a line every day, we had a line around the corner at the suite giving away these ginger beers. And people were like, where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? And at the time, you couldn't buy it in all places around the country. And we were like, it's coming, it's coming. And so I'm so excited now for Monica to fill us in on all the places you can buy it from. Because when I tell you, people kept coming back like 3 and 4, and we were giving them away, right? So they kept coming back 3 and 4 times. They were sending people. You were like, you don't have to send your sister to get one. Come on back. You know, we want you to get that brand recognition. But it was so funny because people loved it. We even gave some cases away in a giveaway. It was the best time. And so I want to publicly thank you, Monica, for your kindness and generosity during that time. I'm so glad we were able to get your name out there a little bit, but you made us pop. You were the best thing at the conference, and it was because of those mules. So thank you so much. So this campaign is on WeFunder. Those of you know, we go to WeFunder often. And so right now we're still in the family and friends portion of the campaign. There's still about 15 days left until the public launch. The minimum investment is $100. So if you invest before the campaign launches live, you would really be in that reservation phase where you're really committing to the investment, but it is not an investment just yet until the campaign is live. Okay. And so the minimum is $100, but your maximum can go much higher. That all depends on your net worth. And when you register with WeFunder, they'll kind of give you some questions to answer if you've never gone there before. And then they determine what your maximum investment can be in a particular investment. Is all based on your individual financial situation, right? This is a future equity opportunity with a valuation cap of $10.8 million. There's some early bird bonuses in a safe note, and there are also some investor perks. I always love the perks. And so, Talisha, if you don't mind scrolling down so we can see what some of those perks are. You want to highlight over to the right where it says investment. There you go. Very good. And so typically you can hover. There we go. And so for $500 investment, you get a 12-pack sampler of the product that'll be sent to your home. And there are 3 flavors now. 2 years ago when they were here, there was just the one amazing flavor. And now there are 2 additional flavors. I am sipping on one of the newer ones tonight. Monica's going to give us all the details. So when you see me sipping, don't judge. And I do have a Moscow Mule with a little spirit inside. To enhance the flavor just a tiny bit. The $1,000 investment includes the geared out. So it's Uncle Waithley's branded bandana. You get a trucker hat, you get t-shirts, so you get a little swag. And typically each level of perk includes the level before. Monica, is that the case here?
Yeah, I believe so. I'll confirm just to make sure, but that's usually how we do it. So
very good. For $25,000, you get a trip for one to New York City to meet Carl. That's where Carl and Monica reside. You'll also get to tour the restaurant where Uncle Waithley's is being served. For a $50,000 investment, a trip for 2 to LA to the plant where Uncle Waithley's is made. And then for investors that invest $100,000, you get an annual 12-pack for life. And you get to join them for 2 to experience the journey in St. Vincent. So it's a 5-day trip. So very, very nice. Very, very nice.
And our co-founder, Mike, who's on the call, thank you, Mike, just confirmed that, yes, because he worked on the perk. So yes, the each level
Nice.
includes, the level above.
Good. Thank you, Mike, for that clarification. On the page, I always like to remind you guys that, you get to ask questions here with us tonight, but sometimes questions pop into your head later on as you're doing your due diligence. And so I want you to know that you can always come back here to the campaign page and ask your question, and either Carl or one of the other staff members will respond. I love the ask a question page because oftentimes I read them to learn more about what I should be asking, right? Sometimes there are more sophisticated investors out there asking questions that I may not have thought about. And so I love coming here to look at the questions and the answers. I believe it helps with part of the due diligence process. I recommend looking at every single thing on a campaign page always. The our team section, any updates, just all of it. It's part of your due diligence. There's also going to be a section where all of your legal documents are housed, and you want to look through all of that. Okay. All right. I think we can look at some of the videos. Monica, if you want to direct us, we'll look at this first one. And then
definitely take a look
if
at
there are. Perfect.
Definitely look at the first one. And it looks like, I don't know if you can hear it.
I can't hear.
The first part of that is functional beverages. It's like Poppy and Olipop and some of the kombuchas. On the other side are beverages that can substitute for alcoholic beverages at various occasions. Millennials and Gen Z consumers are the demographic that's driving a lot of the growth that we're seeing. And these consumers have a particular need. They're looking for authenticity. They want brands that have real stories and celebrate real cultural moments. Sustainability is particularly important to our company. We have a focus on all natural, authentic ingredients. It's really important to us to promote a circular economy, to ensure environmental stewardship, and to ensure that farmers from South America and the Caribbean who provide the natural products we use are supported and are able to continue to do their businesses. We believe that success on premise is particularly important to our brand and supports our growth in retail. We actually have a strategy of going into markets, oftentimes first with on-premise, and building those markets through the on-premise channel. Whole Foods was our first customer. In January of 2022, we launched in one store, the Whole Foods store in Harlem. We performed so well, a factor of 10x of any other ginger beer in that store, that by October of 2022, Whole Foods expanded us to all of the New York City region. In March of 2023, Whole Foods rolled us out to the entire Northeast region. That came to another 59 stores. In March of 2025, not only will Whole Foods be expanding Uncle Waithley's to 229 total stores down the East Coast, they'll also be adding all of our brand SKUs. Those include our smoked pineapple and our sorrel ginger beer. When Whole Foods brought us into the LEAP program, that created additional opportunities outside of Whole Foods. Those include getting into the UNFI Up Next program. UNFI is the largest natural products distributor in the country with access to over 30,000 accounts. We also have access to national distribution possibilities and opportunities. Dora's Naturals is a premier natural products distributor in the Northeast. Dora's has made the decision to bring us in as a contract brand beginning in Q1 of 2025. This is going to create an unprecedented opportunity for us to scale within the Northeast. We are really excited to be beginning a relationship with a premier distributor focused on craft bars and restaurants throughout the Northeast. They have over 2,500 of those accounts. That distributor is Skurnik Wine and Spirits. Based on the results that we're having right now and our forecast, we're projecting a compound annual growth rate over the next 4 years of over 230%. Now's the time to help us grow this brand, to help us bring this Caribbean flavor around the country. We're here to spice up your vibe.
Nice.
All
Wonderful.
right, presentation over. No, I'm just kidding.
Carl did a great job.
Yeah, he explained everything. Carl told me that Carl was trying to join. He said he wasn't allowed in. I don't know, but he did want to come in and join.
Oh,
But
hold on.
yeah, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I can get started. If you guys are ready for me.
We are, but let's get him in here.
And so for everyone new who joined, who might not have heard the beginning, when I first got on, Carl just had a baby girl, his first girl. He has 2 boys, and this is their 3rd child, and she's a lovely little girl that we all can't wait to meet. So he is, a little tied up,
Just a tad bit busy tonight.
just a tad busy with this newborn, who was literally born a week ago, but they just came home from the hospital. So, that is why you have me tonight. For those who joined us last time, if you remember, I was on the call. I was at my sister's house and there was a cat just jumping on my computer all the time, but I don't have that problem today. So I'm thrilled to be back talking to you guys and to and to talk to any of the new people on the call. What you heard in the video and why we're here is because of this insanely, blessing that we've received for 2025. And that's 3 big pieces of news, right? So the first is that, you heard we started in 1 Whole Foods store. And I believe by the time when we spoke with you guys the first time, I think we had just gotten through all New York City and maybe starting to get into the Northeast. So now we're going into all East Coast stores from Boston to Florida. I remember being on the call last time and there were some people from, Maryland and Florida. And now I'm happy to announce that in the next few weeks, you should be seeing it rolling out in your Whole Foods, your nearest Whole Foods stores. It also includes, what they consider the South. So I believe it's Mississippi's included in there. And then they also included us in their headquarters stores in Austin. So that's really exciting. Going to a total of 229 stores, give or take, in the next few weeks. So that's, thank you. That's a huge deal. That was, 59 was where we we're last at, and now we're going to 229. So that's huge, unprecedented growth. To do that in year 3 on the shelf, we're just extremely proud. Then the second piece of news is in the Northeast in general, in particular, sorry. We're not just, we've already been in Whole Foods, but we've also signed with a distributor who's going to take us to many, many more places in the Northeast. So the distributor is Dora's Naturals, as Carl mentioned. They are very, very particular about the brands that they bring on as what they call contracted brands, and we were asked to be one of them. And they particularly don't ask emerging brands. So that shows that they have a lot of belief in us and our power to grow. But that opens up the possibility of, up to 4,000 accounts with them. Not overnight, but that's their universe. So we're really excited about that. And then the third piece of news was is Skurnick Wines and Spirits. So, I'll go into the story a little bit, but the bar and restaurant world is very near and dear to our heart. It's where, this idea came about. And to win in the bar and restaurant space is really important to us. And so to partner with a really big premier distributor who's very known for the types of craft spirits that they offer some of these cocktail bars, we're just, we're all excited. And so we're here again.
That
What's
is
that?
absolutely great news. I mean, that is amazing news. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so, for those who did invest the first time, I hope this makes you feel just as proud as investors that we've been able to do exactly what we said we were going to do and then some, with our first round of raising. And so we are here again because obviously something like this type of growth is a lot more than just getting on those shelves or getting into those bars and restaurants. It is actually moving, and it's the growth capital so that we can go national and even further from there. So
Very good.
for those who were on the call the first time, this may be some repetitive information, but what I want to highlight is why we think we're so special. One is, I don't know how many people don't who know this or not, but there's not many. Ginger beer is a Caribbean drink, right? How many, Black owned and Caribbean owned ginger beers do you know that's actually on the market selling at the scale that we're selling? And the answer is not many. Like we're probably one of the few. And that's, when you think about that, you're like, here's this big category that has the potential, that's been growing, a lot in the market, and the people who make it aren't even from the area, aren't from where it's actually like born, right? So we think that, the authenticity that comes with having a Caribbean founder is, something that we offer that a lot of brands cannot say. But the other really kind of great piece about it is that he's a mixologist, right? So not only does he understand how to use Caribbean flavors, he knows how to use flavors in general. He knows how to craft a really, really good drink. And so what you have is a really, really unique formula that's just not easy to replicate. Everything, I mean, you saw in the video, the all natural ingredients we use, but there's also the process. There's a fermentation process that we do. It's the making of our own mineral water that kind of mimics what's called spa water in St. Vincent. These things that just kind of create, what Tawana is drinking right now that she's loving. So it makes an excellent mixer. But one of the other really, really good things about it is that it's also good on its own. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But just to, again, round out who Carl is, who's our founder. I've been working with Carl for about 10 years. I've known him for 30 years. So, we're cool. I know I've been his secondhand person for quite some time in the business world. But friend even longer. And that makes a big, a big difference. But he's been, he started his career at Procter and Gamble as an electrical engineer, went over into brand management, where he got to stay in Puerto Rico for a little bit, really liked the brand side, and particularly beverage, moved over to Pepsi, and And then from Pepsi, went from brand to innovation, but really kind of started getting into the craft cocktail scene, but also as a, from a family of entrepreneurs. So started to get that bug, didn't want to necessarily be in corporate America, you know, may have been smart decision, may not, at the time he left Pepsi. Who knows? We're going to say it's smart because of how well Uncle Waithley's is doing. But he did leave a very, what they call the golden handcuffs at corporate America to start being on his own. And it's, it has paid off. So I help him run his bars. They've received several accolades from Esquire, Time Out, Condé Nast. And now we have Uncle Waithley's as well. Some of you may wonder who Uncle Waithley is. That is Carl's grandfather. His name was Waithley. Waithley is a very popular name in St. Vincent. Uncle is a term of endearment for, any older gentleman. So Uncle Waithley is how he became affectionately known. Carl's father's name is also Waithley, but it was really his grandfather who kind of instilled in him the idea of making all natural beverages, health, how he lived to 100 years old. From what I heard, had a six-pack until his 70s. And so, but also just like a hard worker and again, a farmer. And so, in many respects, he had learned a lot from Uncle Waithley, his grandfather, and that's why he wanted to honor the company by naming it after him. So all that stuff is great. We have a great story, very sentimental, but we actually are in a business that can make a lot of money. And so this is where, we would love, people like us to kind of come together and win in this and this, all of this. So the interesting thing about our category is the non-alcoholic beverage movement. Now, like Tawana, I will always have a cocktail, but some others are going to, are going the route of maybe not drinking as much, but still want a very, complex and interesting drink, and they don't want to sacrifice taste or quality or even vibe. Yes, mocktails. We call it mindful drinking, but yes, yes, lots of different ways to use this. So what we've created actually works. So not only did our growth evolve in terms of our stores and our business, but it also grew in who we were and what we were creating. And what it turns out is that we're creating a really, really big, stake in the market of non-alcoholic beverages, for adults that are looking for something interesting to drink for celebratory occasions. This is, ideal because the non-alcoholic beverage movement, for example, went from almost nothing a few years ago to about $823 million in 2024. And it's continuing to grow. We know that Gen Z are not drinking as much. They're also looking for stories. So 86% of people who are in the Gen Z category say that when they're deciding on brands to support, they want authentic stories and authenticity behind the brand, regardless of what color or race they are. They don't want to buy things that aren't authentic, basically. Caribbean culture is also kind of in the spotlight right now. So for those of you in New York, I'm sure you've heard of Tatiana. It's #1 restaurant in New York City right now. It's a Caribbean restaurant. Also, Flatbush has been, kind of carved out as one of the coolest neighborhoods in the world. They call that Little Caribbean. So again, if you're from here, you know that. Forbes, Global Flavors are taking center stage, including Caribbean flavors. So the non-alcoholic trend and the Caribbean flavor trend are both kind of exploding right now, and we fit in both categories. And again, you're not going to get another drink the way that what we can create. So, but the problem has been, like I mentioned earlier, is that this market lacks an authentic Caribbean brand, and that's where we come in. So, you have, again, all this like Caribbean, kind of acknowledgement and, people wanting to participate in things that are uh, less centered on alcohol. And you have Uncle Waithley's representing both. So, so that's why we say we're the solution. We kind of stand on four pillars. Vintage, meaning we, again, we honor history. We take what's natural, authentic, and put it in a bottle, crafted, again, coming from a master mixologist. They don't use the term mixology that much anymore, but, really craft bartender who understands balancing flavors and technique, sustainable. You heard that in the video talking about, again, using all natural ingredients, but also giving back to the community in a way that, that helps create a legacy. And then, of course, a vibe, because we are a vibe, where our bottles are cool. People, as Tawana said, you take it to a party, people are going to be asking for it. So. And then, if you look at the Wayfunder page, they'll go into each of those, pretty clearly, but those are what we stand for. And we think we created that in all three flavors. And I'll talk about the flavors in a second. What I did want to spend a little time, and I know I have about 4 minutes before questions start.
You have as much time as you need. There's this, and we're here to love on you guys tonight. There is no rush. We don't do that around here. Tonight is about the two of you. Carl has joined us. And so congratulations, Carl, on the baby, to you and your wife. So excited. Add a new body into this legacy that you're building is absolutely beautiful. So no, take as much time as you need, Monica.
Okay, great. So one of the things that is, particularly, I guess what makes us really, really proud again is what we have done. So we're not, we're fundraising because we're continuing to grow, and that's just a beautiful place to be in. We have done quite a bit since the first Black Ambition. I'm sorry, since the first 10K project. One of them is winning the Black Ambition Prize. Being one of the winners. So we were one of the top 5 winners of Black Ambition. Pharrell Williams created this, this organization to help Black and Hispanic founders. It was one of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever been through. But winning, being one of the top 5 winners on stage was really, really, just, I don't even know how to put it in words, but it meant a lot. It meant a lot that we, there was about 3,000 applicants, and, to make it through to the semifinalist rounds and the finalists, and then to be one of the top 5 was very rewarding. We've also increased our brand profile in the industry. So we've participated in a lot of shows such as Fancy Food Show, Bar Convent Brooklyn, Utopia Now. We also just presented or pitched at the Expo West, which is in California, which, that's something that's a big honor for brands in our space, in the CPG space is what we call it, consumer packaged goods. So we also open new markets like we talked about. So the Whole Foods, again, expansion through the East Coast is complemented by some other markets that were, like on-premise markets. So we've partnered with Guilford Hall, which is in the Maryland, DC area. So, in tandem with our Whole Foods expansion, you'll also see us in more bars and restaurants down there. We've partnered with a distributor in North Carolina called HB Distributing, and then a distributor in Florida, which is called Community Craft. So the beauty of that is that the more on-premise presence that we have in those markets, the more people are going to drive to Whole Foods and buy it in store. And so it's almost part of our marketing strategy to have bartenders kind of become de facto ambassadors, create amazing drinks like the one Tawana is drinking, have the bottle on the bar. People are going to ask what it is, and they're going to want to go buy some on their own and drive them to Whole Foods, which helps secure our space on those shelves. And, if anyone has any, experience in the beverage world, or just CPG in general, you would know that Whole Foods expanding from one store to 229 stores in 3 years is a pretty big deal. They're very selective, and there has to be traction and there has to be belief. So much so that Whole Foods has invested in us, so they're actually on our cap table. So we have Pharrell, and we have Whole Foods, and we have you guys. So it's not a bad cap table, if I must say so myself. But yes, that all leads to just us growing, getting into, again, from one store to 229 stores, becoming a lot smarter logistically, having all our systems and processes in places so that we make a product, we make it responsibly, we make it naturally, we make it cost effectively, and we sell it to the world. So we are really, really excited about 2025, but also, beyond that. We talked about the distribution already, so I won't go into that, but I will talk about why we're raising again, right? So it's, as I mentioned, we want to take this growth and show everybody why we belong here, why why there's no reason we couldn't be the number one selling ginger beer and be a household name. So this round is all about really growing. So that includes, hiring key salespeople, obviously, both on off-premise and on-premise. Also, the sales and retail support, which is extremely expensive. So that includes things like tasting, sales materials, merchandising, displays, making sure we get seen, and all that comes at a cost. Another big part of our spend will be around social media, influencers, and PR impact. Again, making sure that the beverage gets seen, heard, people understand it, people love it, people go and buy it. And then we execute in retail the way we know that we can. We talked about, Carl talked about in the video about, the compounded annual growth rate growing, what that kind of translate to is. So we, in 2022, our sales were 33,000. That, again, one store in Whole Foods, just a neighborhood brand, a couple bars and restaurants. We went to 143,000 in 2023. It's about the time when we presented to you guys the first time. 275 in 2024. But with all of this book of business that we have for 2025, we're projecting to hit the million mark and go to 1.47 million. So, again, from shelf to where we are now, 3 years, we're ready to hit that over 1 million mark, and then go to 4.95 million in 2026. And again, this isn't based on, this is what we want to do. This is based on the business that we've actually secured for 2025 and the expansion. The team, so you guys know me, Monica, co-founder. I'm VP of Organizational Strategy. So I help, kind of build the business from both a people perspective and a process perspective, and make us operate smoothly and efficiently. And Carl, who's the, founder, and as we spoke about, his credentials, no reason not to believe why he shouldn't be building this. There's literally nobody else who could do this. And then Mike McConnell, who's our VP of Marketing and Culture. And then we have Scott Parker, who is an advisor as well, and helped us on the marketing side and also growth on the retail side. And what you have in the team, again, to give you confidence about the brand that you're investing in is just really experienced, really knowledgeable people who have been through thick and thin, you know, whether together or just on our own, but have weathered almost every storm you can think of. And, you know, have always come out stronger and better. We know what we're doing. A lot of people always kind of, you know, talk about how we're a brand that, you know, looks like we have more money than we do, in terms of funding. And it's because of the team. And as you know, as someone who's HR and organizational related, I couldn't be more happier with the team that I chose to align myself with. So we're really, really proud of that. And that is Uncle Waithley's and where we are today.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Monica. Carl, did you want to add anything to that? Monica did such a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, one of the points that Monica made was just about the limited amount of Black-owned beverages on the shelf. And you know, I think we were being generous when we said there might be others. I don't know of another Black-owned carbonated soft drink on the market right now that has the market penetration that we do. And I'm not necessarily proud of that. I think it's unfortunate that the market just doesn't have that not more brands have been able to break through. And so we talk about sustainability. I think sustainability can land in a couple ways. You know, there's sustainability in terms of we want to create a circular economy around the brand. We want, you know, we think about supporting local farmers in St. Vincent and then throughout the Caribbean and South America. We think about how do we sort of reuse some of the you know, the spent ginger. How do we encourage and make sure that the farmers are supported, but also that that there's opportunities for greater agriculture. My grandfather was a farmer, so this is particularly interesting and important to me. But to me, sustainability is also about the bigger picture. It's about how do we community build, and that's about embracing a brand like ours. And you know, we are, you know, we're about the team. You know, we're about like how do we not only grow Uncle Waithley's, but in doing that, reach back, pull other brands along. You know, a brand that a friend of mine, you know, we kind of supported him and helped him get onto Black Ambition this past year. Jason Hurt with his Taija which is his brand, and you know, I've supported other brands. Like I just want to see everyone sort of grow. And so this is not just us coming to you and saying, hey, support us because you're gonna, you know, you're gonna make money. We believe that. We believe the brand's going to grow. Make money, you know, is one part of it. It's help us build this sort of brand that's about more. It's giving back. It's healthy. It's delicious. It's all these good things. It's not an alternative to alcohol. Like there's so many good things there, but the bigger good thing is that we're building something together. During the Harlem Renaissance, the whole thing was about the whole kind of fundamental idea was showing Black acumen, like the ability, like what we could do. And at that time, it was very risky to do that in commerce and business. You know, we had you know, people, Black Wall Street burning down, and every time we built something, it got burned down or destroyed. And so the idea behind the Harlem Renaissance was a bunch of Black intellectuals and artists got together and said, hey, we're going to show, you know, this acumen through arts and literature. And you put the Prohibition as a background to that, and all of a sudden there was no better place to go out and experience this. And you have the Harlem Renaissance. Well, you know, I think that now we don't have those barriers, right? And we've already proven ourselves a million times over in the arts and literature in those spaces. There's no question we win the Grammys, we win all the sporting events, we, you know, like but now there's opportunities like this where we get to demonstrate what we can do as a community in business. And so we just encourage you all to join us as part of what we're doing. Get involved, as a good friend of mine likes to say, you know, and you know, like help us build this. You know, we can't build something this big and this interesting and this you know, this great of an opportunity for us in the community without the broader community support.
Very, very good. Thank you for that. Guys, go
Tawana,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say our other co-founder, Mike, is on the call as well. I'd love for him to introduce himself. He wasn't able to join the first time we did this, so.
Nice. Mike saying, hey guys, hi Mike. Very nice to meet you. No, you guys have done a wonderful job. And I'll just say, first of all, guys, if you want to put your questions in the Q&A, I'll get to those in a minute, but I always have commentary and questions of my own. I'll say this, tonight I am sipping and there is a little extra in my cup tonight, right? But but the other night, I typically have sweet tea around, right? In the refrigerator, and I didn't have any, and I didn't feel like water. And I was like, I'm not gonna drink. But I had chilled some, right? In preparation for tonight, I had chilled some. And I was like, but that's for my Moscow Mule. And I was like, in my head, I was like, well, you got like, 24 pack, you good, right? And so I just drank it straight, right? Not something I would typically do, right? I'm not typically drinking ginger beer without the vodka in it, but I drank it straight and I was like, this is delicious just by itself. Right. I didn't want ice, right? Because I just wanted something. It was cold. It was cold too. It was good and cold. And, and it was just so delicious. And I was like, I probably could just drink this like instead of a soda, instead of the sweet tea. And it was like an awakening to me because I hadn't thought about it in that way, right? It's my ginger beer for my Moscow mules. And nobody don't touch this one, right? This is mine, right? But I really, really enjoyed it. And so when you talk about, Bernard asked, is it alcohol in it? Because Bernard does not drink. And so when he asked that question, my first thought was, it doesn't have to be. Like this can stand on its own so easily, right? And y'all know I don't do a whole bunch of BS. My name matters to me, right? My reputation matters to me. So I don't endorse things that I don't love. It's delicious. I was upset that I couldn't find the smoked pineapple though. So we got to talk about that a little bit. And then I want to talk about just the flavor profiles, right? So obviously you guys started with the Scotch bonnet one. I remember when I tasted this one for the first time, several years ago, that bite, I was like, ooh. And at first I was like, do I like it? And then like 3 seconds later, I was like, I like it, right? But the sorrel is so different. And I can't wait to taste the pineapple. But let's talk a little bit about the flavors.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Carl, oh, sorry. Do you want to go ahead?
yeah, sure. I mean, the flavors, part of it is like I have always, like, this started out like there were flavors that I knew and I had experienced growing up that I couldn't get anywhere on the beverage side, period. And that bothered me. And it made it hard to make the cocktails that I wanted to make. That's how this all started. And so the flavors are a continuation of that idea. They're just taking these flavors that are celebrated in the Caribbean, that are popular, that, when you think about hibiscus, we call it sorrel, and in Mexico it's Jamaica. And the motherland is Bissap. Like there's this sort of continual line through these flavors. And so, like, to me, it was, and the red drink has a massive history from Africa. And there's this sort of, people used to make fun of the idea, oh, Black people drink Kool-Aid, but there's a much deeper roots to why that was. And this sort of, and so sorrel just made sense. It was a celebration of a flavor that has real African roots, that is popular throughout the Caribbean and South America, that a lot of people can relate to. And so it's all about, how do we do it and do it well? And still sticking with our core. So our core was, and I know we've been talking about ginger beer this whole time, but to call us a ginger beer is almost too small. We are an adult non-alcoholic beverage that's made with ginger and Scotch bonnet pepper. That's what we are, right? And then the flavors sit on top of that. So hibiscus and spices, smoked pineapple. We're smoking the pineapple with pimento wood, which is the wood used to jerk meats. There's a history there. That wood is native to the Caribbean and was a came out of the relationship between the indigenous people and the escaped Africans who were trying to figure out how to preserve the meats as they were trying not to be re-enslaved, right? So there's history in what we do, there's story, there's narrative, and we try to go deeper, but the bottom line is we like all this adds up to great flavor and taste. And that's really what we're about. You know, I don't, to be honest, if I was to give us a critique, I don't even know if we talk about it as much as we could. Like what's in that bottle is really amazing. And it's not just the flavors, it's not just the history behind the flavors. It's the process that we go through to put those flavors together. It's the way that we maintain the freshness that you get in that bottle. It's the, you know, the natural salts we use in the water. It's the you know, the fact that everything in there is fresh. You know, there's dried spices that we use for making the sorrel, and but other than that, it's all fresh ingredients. Like there's not a beverage like this on the market. We make it in
So for
California.
those who want to invest $50,000, you'll see the magic and the beauty of it at the plant. So
Yeah,
just saying, if you want to invest 50,000, well.
I mean, you know, Chris Reed, the founder of Reed's, owns California Custom Beverages, which is where we make our product. I was there, and so I'm very involved in the process of making the product. It's not just something that I've given the farmer or co-packer, go make it for me. I've commercialized it, you know, put the recipes together, built it. I'm there when every production. Chris pulls me aside the last time, and he's like, "Dude, now this is like, you know, 60-something-year-old white man. You know, you don't hear this every day." He's like, "Dude, I used to be the coolest, craziest MFer on out there making some stuff. I can't touch you." And I will literally give you a quote for your website if you want to just talk about what I just tasted. He had just tasted the sorrel right off the line. We're doing something special here and unique. And so I was about to put, because I don't know if you all, we just put a release out this week with all the press, and Monica did talk through some stuff. You know, Mike, I see you putting your finger up. Did you have a?
I was gonna actually drop the link. I was looking for the link so it could.
I have it right here. It's
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There we go. So, you all can. This was our press link right here. This just came out this week and just talks about. Monica talked through this stuff, but you know, this is you know, you can see all the great things that are happening there for the brand right now. So,
Yeah.
Doris, Skurnick, UNFI, Whole Foods, the team that's coming together, you know, we just hired an amazing creative Black-owned and women-owned creative agency to market the product. So we're super excited about that collaboration. You know, new salesperson that we're very excited about, Guyanese guy. You know, so we're keeping it in the community.
Yeah. I wanted to just, Tawana, thank you for inviting me in. It's just a phenomenal platform. They spoke about the process and the quality of the product, but I want to take a second to just give Carl his props. You know, I've known him for many years, and he's always championed his heritage. You know, my family's from St. Thomas. Monica's married to a Caribbean man, and so you know, we're keeping it in the circle. But from the bars and restaurants that he's launched in the last like 15 years, he's always made sure to take the story with him, right? Because you know, you go around, you see Irish pubs everywhere, you see Italian restaurants, but to do Caribbean culture on a high level, and win awards and show up to things like Tales of the Cocktails and speak on panels and talk about Caribbean beverage making is something special. And I wanted to just put this, you know, we're not only just making the best, you know, beverage in the world. To Carl's point about these stories, we're launching an immersive experience called Roots and Revelations, which basically is going to walk our partners and people who attend our events through the storyline, the heritage, the lineage of how Carl came take a story that, that he felt impacted by and create this legacy brand. So we're going to be launching that like summer Q3. But with your support, obviously we could launch that sooner. So I just wanted to make sure you understood how serious we take this. And thank you for letting me share that with you guys.
No, you're welcome. And Mike, we know how serious you take it because we're seeing the growth, right? We're seeing it, and it's beautiful to see. And what you guys don't know is we're here championing you the whole way. When you guys won Black Ambition, like we went crazy, right? At the 10K project, we were like, like we've invested. They were here first, so we were hyped. And that's what we love, right? To be able to see the brands that we had the privilege of being a part of the journey early, to see you grow, right? To be able to still be here to see you grow is a big deal, right? Because we all know business is not easy. And even when you talk about the breakthrough, right? And the fact that you're not proud that you may be the only one that has broken through, I think you're leading the pack, right? So the more successful you are, the more that will come, more Black brands that will come behind you, beverage brands, and realize that same success that you have realized, right? And maybe even surpass you because you opened the door for them, right? And so that's huge. And the fact that you've twice now opened up an investment crowdfunding opportunity so that the everyday investor can be a part of it, right? We know these campaigns are not easy, right? We know they are not for the faint of heart, right? It's hard to raise money this way, right? But the fact that you've done it now a second time to give people the opportunity is huge. And so, on behalf of this community, I thank you, because so many people would not even know about investing in your organization if it was not on a platform that allowed it to be affordable, right? Coming in at $100 for somebody who may not have a lot of money to invest, but they've been wanting to. That's a big deal, right? For those of us here in this community, having another opportunity to invest. And understanding that the more you invest, right, the better outcomes when the brand continues to grow, and you're showing us the growth. So it's not, I think Monica, you said, that 4.9, this is not, we're not guessing here, right? This is already with business you already have secured. And so, your math is mathing, right?
Yeah.
We're not guessing here. And so to see that in a brand that we had the privilege of a very early seat at the table and now getting a second opportunity at it, I just want to thank you and the whole team, obviously, for the hard work, but for coming this way, because you're making enough progress that VCs are looking, right? They're probably calling and knocking on the door. And the fact that you came back to do it this way again is a huge, I think, testament to what this brand really means to you, and how culture and family and community is really part of what you believe in. I mean, I think it speaks volumes. So thank you. Thank you to the entire team for that.
Yeah, and you mentioned VC, and that is the biggest challenge with VC is ultimately it comes down to terms, just being able to do things the way that you know that we want, with the level of authenticity that we want. And so we've certainly been approached by a few. Nothing made sense so far. And not to say that there won't come an offer that makes sense. At the end of the day, we're building a brand that we ultimately want to be able to build and have an outcome that makes all of our investors and ourselves very happy. And so, we'll make the right choices, but we're being very, very choiceful and cautious in what we do, and really focus on, let's build this thing. Let's build it right. Let's build it strong. Let's create the right fundamentals so that we can, have sustainable long-term growth.
Yeah.
And, just to that point, sorry, Tawana, but to that point, you can see that in our growth story, right? It's not, we've been very, very planful in terms of like how we grow, and we do have a strategy of going deep before going wide, and making sure that we understand all the nuances. It's not like, oh, so-and-so wants our product, let's get it out there. Or so, let's just be everywhere. That's, it's more like what makes sense, what areas, geographic areas make sense to go to next. After this expansion, we're definitely looking into like the Houston market, the LA market, especially because we make it there. I did see some people I think I saw somebody from LA on here, just so you know, we're at an amazing restaurant. We are at an amazing restaurant there called Bridgetown Roti. You're okay. Yeah, I knew I saw it. So Bridgetown Roti is, delicious, delicious Caribbean food, but they sell all three flavors of our ginger beer. I did want to address, Tawana, I know I'm getting you pineapple, so just sit tight,
Thank you.
um, pineapple is the newest flavor. And so logistically, there's just, it's still rolling out, but it's coming, and it's going to be right in time for summer. It's a great summer drink. And, but we are, as I mentioned before, our experience, our years in the business, really, really warrant us making very smart decisions. And that's why we've been able to get, pretty far, pretty fast with very quality, retailers, and, bars and restaurants. So we're extremely proud of that.
Yeah, that's great. I know that Texas market is going to be crazy when it comes, because when we had the conference and you guys donated, we were in Houston and the most participants were from across the state. And when I tell you, they were like, where can we go right now to get some of this? It's like, you can't yet, but you can have another free one, right? They went crazy. So when they hear that they are going to be able to like walk into a store and get it, I'm telling you, they are gonna go crazy, because it was such just everybody who just took a sip of it. They kind of, it's so interesting, and I love that Carl says, it's not a ginger beer, right? So I'm gonna stop saying it, Carl. I'm gonna stop saying it, but because everybody who took a sip of it, there was, and this was a couple of years ago, so it was the original. They all kind of stopped for a minute. It was almost like it stopped them in their tracks, right? And you could see their brain trying to figure out what just happened there, right? It was just the craziest thing. And Talisha, our co-founder here at the 10K Project, and we just loved it. Like every minute, like you guys just made us be such a hit, being able to say we support a brand that was so amazing. I think had it been on shelves, they would have run out and like bought all of it, because it was just crazy how excited people were. So the expansion across the different states, I know, this is going to be huge. I think Whole Foods, they got lucky. They got lucky with you guys. I mean, I know some people probably thinking, oh, Whole Foods the prize. I don't know. I'm thinking you were the prize. I mean, this is amazing. It really, really is.
Words. We make them look cool. So
yeah, right, that part. We've got a couple of questions. I see, Carl, you answered a couple. I'm going to say them out loud just so everybody can hear. So Bernard wanted clarification on if there was alcohol in the ginger beer. And so, Bernard, it is a non-alcoholic beverage. So this, inside here, as they stated, a bunch of amazing natural ingredients, but there is no alcohol in here. It is just a delicious adult beverage. All right. And then Belinda Logan said, will investors be compensated? If yes, how will investors be compensated and how often? So Belinda, we showed you and shared with you the link to the campaign page. If you look along the right-hand side of the campaign page, you'll see the deal terms. You'll also, if you go into the legal documents, you'll see more information there. It is ultimately an opportunity for future equity in a safe note. And so if you are a 10K Project member and you want to know and understand more about what a safe note is, we can direct you to that information, where you can find that, where we do some education on what the investment and deal terms mean. But we can't talk about that specific of information here on this call. The SEC is very clear that the deal terms should be discussed based on the campaign page. So I want you to just go back to that. And then Bernard said, what's a Scotch bonnet? Is that some type of alcohol? So let's talk. I mean, I know you can't give the recipe away, but let's talk about some of these flavors that are in these bottles.
Yeah, I mean, so Scotch bonnet, it is a pepper prized throughout the Caribbean for its heat and its flavor. It's ubiquitous in cooking. You know, it's across multiple of the islands. It's a small pepper, so the name, it's called a Scotch bonnet because it resembles it kind of looks like a tammy, which is a hat that Scottish men used to wear. So that's what they call it, the Scotch bonnet, you know, head, hat, bonnet, whatever. It's a super flavorful pepper. It's hot, it's definitely hot. But it's also got this really great flavor. And so because it's so common throughout the Caribbean and various places, I like to think of it as that's it. By adding it to the drink, it makes the drink taste even more Caribbean. Like even if you don't know what Scotch bonnet is, you're like, this tastes Caribbean. But beyond that, it also has a lot of vegetal and herbaceous notes. And if you really are starting to get into the nerdy side of it, those things make for better mixing. So if you're adding alcohol, particularly grass-based spirits and grain, you're going to get like some really great flavor combinations coming out of that.
Very, very good. Bernard also said, he said, will the smoked pineapple ginger beer be available in Wegmans in Montvale, New Jersey store? I brought the
So
ginger beer with sorrel back there in 2023 is what he says.
I'm not sure how that happened because that I know of, we're not in Wegmans. But we would love to be. So if you know somebody who knows somebody, let me know. I do like them. They have some great stores. But no, we're in Whole Foods and so all of the Northeast Whole Foods, which is like northern New Jersey, southern Connecticut, and New York, will have all three flavors. Outside of that region, there's a few stores. There's a couple stores in Texas and a couple other stores that have all three flavors. About 63 stores, but the 59 of those or 60 of those are located in the Northeast. Now the rest of the stores would start around the Boston area and then go from Boston till you hit the Northeast we talked about already, and then from sort of the balance of New Jersey all the way down to Florida. Those stores are going to have the two flavors, so they'll have original and sorrel, but they won't have the pineapple. At least in the short term. You know, if you all go
they're
out,
anticipating getting the pineapple hopefully by the end of the year, but we'll see.
yeah, if you all go out and buy a whole lot of the two flavors, then they'll be everywhere.
Yeah, and they'll be calling you to get that pineapple done faster too. If we buy out these shells. Bernard said his Whole Foods does have the smoked pineapple, and he's going to go out and buy it tomorrow. Very good. Very good. Chandra said, is there an extra spicy flavor in the future?
Ooh, she doesn't think it's spicy enough.
I was gonna say, what's spicier than this Scotch bonnet?
I don't know if we can make it any spicier. You know, we've actually got some people who said maybe you make it less spicy. But I think you know, I feel like the spice is right. We are doing some other things though. So we're not a one-trick pony. The idea is that, you know, we are doing a celebration of Caribbean flavor, and you know, we do. So this is Vinci Brew, right? Uncle Waithley's Vinci Brew, and so Vinci Brew is ginger and Scotch bonnet with Caribbean flavors. That's what this line is. It's not the only line of Caribbean flavored beverages that we're going to do, and so. In the future, we're working on some other flavors now. You know, we love the idea of winning on premise. We think that opens up a lot of doors because by being on premise, the bartenders and the servers become sort of, you know, de facto brand ambassadors for us, right? They're actually, and you know, without us having a large marketing spend, we're able to use their influence to drive interest in the brand, and that supports our business in retail. So that's how we've been able to have the pull that we have in retail without a large marketing budget. And so we do want to focus a little bit on do some innovation around the bartender and some products for them that we think makes sense. I have another flavor up my sleeve for Vinci Brew that I'm in, you know, and so in July, we're headed to St. Vincent as a team, and so part R&D. When I say R&D, I'm gonna go find some Bushmen and and get some herbs and figure out how we mix this up and get these flavors exactly how I want it. It's a traditional beverage that's popular throughout the Caribbean. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but I've played around with it. I haven't gotten it quite right, so I'm gonna go hang out in the bush, meet some guys, and figure it out. And then we figure out how to commercialize it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Somebody made a guess in the comments.
yeah,
Oh, Tracy guessed.
somebody put a guess out there. I'm not confirming or denying.
We're not confirming or denying.
But yeah, so there's some work to be done there. There's some flavors there. There's some innovation around the bartender. There's some potentially pack size things. So we also think that this is a special beverage. It's a premium product. It is an alternative. We have the opportunity to lean even further into that. And you think products like Toast, which are supposed to be like a sparkling, almost champagne, like, so there's a lot of ways we can go with this. I love what's happening with CMOS right now. I see it heating up a little bit, and I think there's the largest brand on the market right now is a brand called Moss, which is not Caribbean owned, although Michael B. Jordan invested in it. And I think that one is I think I can do a better one. So there's some thoughts around that. But there's opportunities for us to really take this platform. Bottom line is Caribbean culture is super hot right now. It's working in food, it's working in culture, and now it's time for it to work in beverage.
I love it. I just got so excited. like tapping into your brain for a minute there was exciting. I can see the ideas swirling around. Oh my goodness. You put CMOS in this bottle, man. It's bananas, okay? Oh, wow. Absolutely wonderful. Mavis says, are all 3 flavors included in the variety pack for the $500 perk?
Yes.
Yes, Mavis. Very good. What are some other questions, community members? What other questions do you have? Talisha, do we have any questions in the Facebook Live?
No, ma'am.
Edward said CMOS will be a wrap if that's the case. I agree. I agree. What other questions do you guys have for the Uncle Waithley's team before we give our call to action and our final statement? Well, you guys have the link. You understand the assignment. You see the growth story. You can order and make a determination for yourself on how it tastes, but your girl know how things supposed to taste, and this is what's up. So I'm gonna tell you that right now. You can trust me on that. It is amazing. And I was just so excited to see the additional flavors because I didn't think you could do better than the original. And so to see that you have matched your own game is a big deal. So I'm just excited for what the future brings for this organization. Happy to be able again to be a part of the journey. Mavis says, I'm in. That's what's up, Mavis. I love it. I want to give my call to action and then I'll leave it for you guys to kind of, give your final statement. I'll reiterate the fact that I am grateful that you have decided to come and raise again from the crowd, right? From the everyday investor. And yeah, there'll be some people that will be accredited, or there'll be people that have $50,000, $100,000, and that's amazing. But there'll also be some people that'll just have 500, right? Or that'll just have 1,000. And typically, that's not enough to get in on a company that has a growth story like yours, right? And so, for those investors, I'm really excited for that they'll be able to get an opportunity to be a part of this brand. outside of investing, I always say that the most important part of what we do here at the 10K Project is that we share what we learn, right? And so we're sharing this campaign link with our families and with our friends and anybody we can possibly get in front of, because we understand that the more people that see the link, the more people that give the campaign an opportunity, right, to read through everything and learn about the brand and do their due diligence, then the more successful you'll be. And so we're just not here representing ourselves this evening. We're here representing all of those people that we know and love that we can't wait to talk about this to. And so, as a reminder to the 10K community and anyone who's new here watching us for the first time, that's what we represent, right? Yes, we're looking at this for our own portfolios. We're doing our due diligence, but more than anything else, we're sharing this link so that everybody we know can also do their due diligence and decide if this fits in their portfolio. We all have different risk profiles and we're all looking for different things in our portfolio. Bernard, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I'm so excited that Bernard is so engaged tonight, because when we have spirit brands, Bernard doesn't believe in supporting brands that have alcohol in them. And so I'm so happy that he's engaged tonight, because when we have some of those spirit brands come, I always feel like, oh, Bernard can't participate. And he's a founding member of the 10K Project. And to hear him excited and saying he's going to go out and buy it, that makes me excited, because part of the thing that we also do here is we never want to leave anybody behind, right? The whole point is that we get the opportunity together as a community. And so I am glad that, you know, community members who may not drink can go out and buy. Community members who may not typically, for whatever reason, support spirit brands, they can invest, right? Because this is an adult beverage, right? And so I love what that means for this community. You are the only adult beverage, right? That's not a spirit brand that we have highlighted, right? So we've had wines, we've had vodkas, right? We've had water, right? But we haven't had a brand like yours. And so to have you stand in a class by yourself in the 10K Project portfolio is a big deal for us. It really is. So thank you again to the community members that have already invested, that will be considering investing, that are going to share the link. Thank you guys in advance for showing up and showing out for another amazing company. Right. Mike,
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to you, and then I'll let Monica and Carl close us out.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are some host. I gotta say that. Like, I get you on prime time because you just I'm sitting there eating every word that comes out of your mouth. No, I want to thank you again. I get all the emails. I see all of the amazing brands that you support. And we want to say this. We started with community. All of us have very deep roots in the community. Myself, I do a lot of community work on the mental health side. And I do a lot of work just, in my community in New York City. Carl is a founding member of certain organizations that support small businesses. Monica is the go-to person. You in the community, you call her, you try to do anything, you're gonna call Monica. So we started off in community and we're gonna continue riding with the community. And as long as the community keeps riding with us. So to me, this call tonight was about community. So thank you everybody for the support.
Thank you, Mike. Miss
And
Monica.
I'll go so Carl can close. But yeah, I mean, I think so, I mean, Tawana, I adore you. I mean, I think from the moment we talked the first time, I was like, this is my girl. Like so when she called and said I needed 25 cases, I said, sure. But no, your spirit is amazing. What you've put together is just incredible. And I loved hearing it again about and why we were here. And, for me, it's like, okay, I know we're going through this raise and I'm, thinking in all operations and people and everything like that. And to sit back and hear, doing this, how this helps, the everyday investor and person, reminded me of why we were doing this in the first place. So it was actually really cool for me, you know, to be on. So I hope I did Carl and Mike proud. I know Carl is usually the talker, but you know, again, working hand in hand with him for so long, you know, I felt confident in representing the brand and who we are. And I just, you know, I love my team. They are like my brothers that I fight with every day, and I love them to death for it. So I love, you know, I love that I'm able to work with people that I've been so close with for quite some time outside of this, and that's not always a common story, but you know, I think it's one that's important for the group to hear too, is that we really do look out for, we're much more than business partners. These are not people I hired as an HR person, even though I'm a great hirer. But the you know, but being able, it's actually always been my dream to work on a business with friends that I think so highly of, and so I'm just glad to be a part of it.
No, that's wonderful. I'll just add this before Carl, I'll turn it over to you. You know, one of the things we talk about doing due diligence, one of the first things we do is we look at the team, right? You look at the team even before you look at the financials, because the team is very telling, it's very revealing. And to see you guys here on screen together, but to also see what you've accomplished together and know that there is a friendship underlining here. It's, you know, to me, when I do the due diligence check, right? Great team, strong team, knowledgeable team, right? Experienced team, like all of those things get check marks. And now we can move to the next point, right? And so I love that, Mike, you jumped on, right? Because that may have been lost on the community, even though we knew you were there in the chat. I love that you jumped on so we could see you and hear you. So thank you for that. Carl, also, I mean, man, you had a baby, right? and you still found a little bit of time to love on us a little bit while we loved on you. And so just again, that sense of community, we see it, we feel it. And so thank you so much. This team is a stellar team. And your work proves that. You didn't need me to say that. Your work proves that. Thank you very much. Carl, how are you gonna send us home?
Well, I guess the first thing is I didn't have a baby. I was there for the birth of my my baby. My wife had a baby, and she gets all the credit for that delivery and for, you know, but you know, I just want to say thank you to you and to this community. You know, thank you for organizing this and for creating these opportunities. I you know, as I said earlier, I do think it's about a community, and I'm for it, you know. Anyone who knows me knows I'm about mentoring, I'm about supporting others, about trying to build something together. Thank you, Mavis. He said congratulations. So that's you know, I just want to say thank you to the community, and thank you to you, Tawana, for doing this. There were a few other questions in there. I didn't know if you wanted me to answer these before I wrap
Yeah,
up.
let's get them. Latrice says, would you consider doing partnerships with the Black Brewers Association members?
Sure. You know, I don't have a current relationship with them, but more than happy to meet folks, and one of the ways that we were able to build this was just was constant networking and dialogue and questions and just talking with people, and you learn a little bit from someone and you teach someone something, and that leads to another opportunity and things like that, and it just sort of builds from there. So I'm 100% open to meeting and talking with whoever.
Yeah, Latrice, if you want to send over any contact information that you have, I'll be more than happy to forward it over.
Yeah.
Patrice says, how long after investing will the perks be delivered?
So the perks would be delivered, say, during the campaign, but so what happens in these campaigns is that there's a period of time before we can officially accept accept an investment. So you would make the investment, and then there's a process that it goes through before we can accept that investment. So once that process is complete, then we start sending out the perks. That's something that, because what that basically means is we've hit a minimum threshold, the campaign is actually happening, you can fully accept all the investments, And that's important to us being able to fulfill, to fulfill the perks.
Very good. Okay. And then Edward, looks like Edward has a comment. Oh, you can definitely share this with the shopthehood.store community. Okay, very good. And then Patrice says, well, I'll have to be on the hunt in LA for it. I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up, Patrice. I bought a lot. So I'll put it in a little care package for you. Oh, goodness. Very good. Any more questions before we let this amazing team go? Oh, Tracy said, and Blap. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and John is in New York. Yeah, you guys know John Laster?
Yeah, I met him at a networking event a couple months ago. Maybe more than maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And we had a nice call. And so we're certainly talking about how we can collaborate.
Good. No, he's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
Comedian, so
And
he's fun to talk to.
he is. Yeah, right. He is. He is. You're right. Naspora. So Naspora they're formerly, what were they called? What were they called? Somebody help me. They had a branding change. Talisa, who they used to be?
I'm drawing.
Buy Black. They were Buy Black. So they
Hmm.
rebranded to Naspora. Yeah. Yeah, we Buy Black. Thank you, Latrice. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of opportunity out there to connect with some other organizations who can help, push the brand and yeah. So let's talk about before I know I said I was gonna let you go. I'm sorry. But so we know we're kind of highlighting the fact that you're in Whole Foods, right? But others you're on Amazon, right? Right? Because I know Amazon owns Whole Food, right? And so people can go to Amazon and buy you.
Yeah.
If you don't
Mhm.
you're not in the store in their
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. And again, the Whole Foods is our largest retailer, but for those people in the areas from Boston to Florida, and then I believe Mississippi, there's we do have distribution in some other places there too. So I've seen the store locator be shared quite a bit, but just keep checking that. It's
Yeah, keep checking that. Yeah. Can you still be found on the Boyson site?
No, Boys on they had some trouble. They closed all their brick and mortars. And we were in their brick and mortars, which also allowed us on their site, but we never really got on their full e-commerce site. I think it's still going, but we will look for other e-commerce options soon as well. So
Perfect. Yeah. So
just
Patrice,
stay
you don't
connected
have
on
to wait.
Instagram and yeah, on the website, and you can, always try to find where we are and send us a note. There's contact information there. So
Perfect. Okay. Wonderful. Oh, one more question popped in. Oh, have you ever promote? Is this saying promoted, Patrice? Have they ever promoted with Mishka? So Mishka Vodka is Black-owned brand. He's out of, I think he's in that Philly area.
No, but again, would love to meet them.
Okay, I'll send some invites. I'll send some introductions. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking why didn't I use that vodka tonight? Oh, that means I got to make another one, darn. But
yeah. Oh well.
rats.
It happens.
Oh, goodness. Thank you guys so very much. We appreciate you. To the community, thank you for showing up. Hopefully now you get to show out. We appreciate you. To everyone watching us on Facebook Live, to those of you who have not watched before, thank you for joining us. We're going to put the link to the campaign page in the comments in that Facebook Live trail so that you too can follow. If you like what you saw tonight, please go ahead and give us a like. and share this campaign link with everyone you know. That is the call to action. That is what this organization needs in order to meet their threshold so this campaign can be live to the masses, right? We need your help. And so just grateful again, and thank you guys so very much, and have a wonderful, peaceful, and blessed evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Good
Good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye.